Welcome back in our search for the single best House episode of all time. There were a lot of excellent episodes over the show's 8-season span, and picking just a single one to crown the greatest is tough.
If I'm being honest, this is going to be super hard.
We've looked at One Day, One Room from Season 3, and 3 Stories from Season 1. Both excellent, unique episodes that show us what this tremendous show was capable of. Today, we're picking another episode that breaks the mold and defies the stereotypical pattern of House. House MD, Season 6, Episode 22, titled Help Me, opens with some mysterious shots of House in his apartment, battered, bloodied, dusty, tired. His mirror is broken. There are holes in the wall. Oh my god, Greggy, what happened? Earlier that day, House enters Cuddy's office to give Cuddy a present that blesses her relationship with Lucas. By the way, I really hated this. They have like no chemistry.
Why keep it a secret?
Cuddy informs House that a crane collapsed downtown and they should both rush there to assist. Damn, this is a pretty sick set. House, Foreman, and Cuddy all start triaging on the scene and realize the accident was caused by a crane operator who fell asleep.
Is that a pill in your pocket, or are you just happy to have a tiny pill-shaped penis?
Ew!
House uses this as an attempt to say, oh, I got a case, I gotta leave now. Cuddy insists that he stays. House, you are so lazy. The episode's main focus is on a woman, Hannah, whose leg is trapped under the rubble and pinned, unable to move. House crawls under the wreckage to talk to her, acting more distant with her at first.
I'm not asking your name because I want to become friends. I'm trying to gauge your mental state. I'll be right back.
No, don't leave me in the dark! Please stay!
The fire marshal, House, and Cuddy realize the only way to free her is to amputate her leg, but she refuses. House agrees with her. This feels eerily familiar, doesn't it?
It's my leg.
They agree not to amputate yet, and wait a few hours, and try to lift the rubble off of her. House tries to leave back to the hospital, but Cuddy convinces him to stay, to comfort Hannah. The relationship warms up as House allows her to call her husband, and even pretends to pray when she begs him to. When the fire marshal returns with new equipment to attempt to lift the debris off of Hannah, it fails, collapsing, almost killing everybody. He continues to consult with his team about the crane operator and argues with Cuddy about amputation. The insults get really dirty.
You took her side against me right after you heard about my engagement.
Yeah, that must be it. It's not that you're a pathetic narcissist.
I don't love you. Accept it and move on with your life instead of making everyone miserable.
Too mean. And
Life lesson for a middle-aged single mom who's dating a mad child.
finally, the time has come to remove Hannah's leg, and House convinces her himself.
I had a blood clot. And I had all these doctors telling me I should amputate, and I said no. And they did this very risky operation. I almost died.
But you saved your leg.
I wish I hadn't. And I'm in pain. Every day. And it changed me. Made me a harder person. A worse person.
They cut off her leg, get her out from under the rubble, and into the ambulance. The day is saved. Except not this time. Hannah dies of a fat embolism. There's nothing House could have done to save her, leading to this moment.
You can't blame yourself for her death. This wasn't your fault.
That's the point! I did everything right. She died anyway. Why the hell do you think that would make me feel any better?
This episode has only one of maybe two moments where we see House lose his cool and yell. Goosebumps. House then heads back to his apartment on the verge of ending his season-long sobriety. He's broken and shattered. Until this happens. And this time, she's there for real. House asks if she's going to leap across the room to grab the pills out of his hand, but she says she won't, and I think this is great. This allows for House to refuse the Vicodin on his own. Cuddy tells House that she left Lucas and loves him. Season 6 is a wrap. Boom. One of the reasons this episode was so intense and powerful is because, at least to me, it feels like this should be the natural conclusion of House's arc. House takes ownership of his past, regrets his decision not to amputate his leg, and admits he's a cold, mean person. We've never seen him speak like this before. Hannah trusted House to fight to keep her leg, and he did. The parallels between Hannah and himself are what stand out and help me as well. House chose not to amputate his own leg, and because of it, he's a cold, distant man. I think the best part about this episode is that House actually uses his prior experience to commit a selfless act. He knows that he's made mistakes, so he's trying to get somebody else to avoid his pitfalls. Help Me showcases House at the peak of his conscientious arc. He lets Cuddy go, climbs under the rubble when he definitely doesn't need to. He admits his wrongdoings. He gives up his Vicodin on his own. I really think the show should have ended here. I can have a little fantasy about House and Cuddy. No, not like that. We can use our imaginations to think about House and Cuddy and what the rest of their lives would have looked like. Because Season 7, what we got. Oh hey Cuddy, here's your fucking bro. I'll admit, the true ending of the show with Wilson wasn't terrible. I just think that Season 7 and 8, minus maybe the prison stuff, felt like filler, and Fox cashing in a paycheck. This episode is a very large exclamation point on the House that we've always wanted. One who isn't addicted to drugs, who can do things for others, who shows some awareness of how he is. We are used to a selfish, drugged out House. We got it for 5 seasons. Having a single season capped with this episode of a sober, selfless House, this is the way the show should have gone out. And that's what makes this episode so great. It isn't just the incredible camera work in tight spaces, or the amazing set design. It isn't just House and Cuddy's standout performances, or the natural concluding arc for House as a character. It's all the symbolism and context behind what's happening. House being in the situation before, being afraid, making the wrong decision, trying to help Hannah through this, trying to calm her. We're finally shown what House is truly capable of, and we're not just talking about on the diagnostician side, we're talking about as a human being. It's really hard to imagine the show getting better than this. So with that being said, I'm going to give this episode a healthy 9 out of 10.